Time now for our rants and raves of the week. What do you got, Dan?
I have a rant for the media with regard to
and
overall, just the hell with them all. No, I have a rant regarding the torture report that came out this week that showed that the CIA did indeed engage in torture for quite a while. And a couple of things that I think that the media really ought to be thinking about here. First of all, for years, almost all news outlets shied away from using the term torture, even though it was torture by any definition of the word. The New York Times only recently finally said, okay, we're going to call it torture. The other aspect of this is the CIA, one of the things the report documented is the extent to which the CIA tried to spin reporters. And they were successful in many cases to get their version out of why torture is a good thing. Not a good chapter in the history of the media.
Tally.
Well, I have a rave, sadly, for Michael Ducil, who died yesterday in Liberia, where he was covering the Ebola crisis. This man was just a brilliant photojournalist. No person I can think of right now so dedicated to journalism, the kind that we admire, than he. Just read the comments from both Marty Barron and Frederick Ryan of the Washington Post, where he worked, to see how really seriously heartbroken people are. He was also a genuinely nice person. And on a personal note, his photography and the work that he did, he was always mentoring people. A member of the African American photography group that would give their photographs to the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, for their auction in the summer to raise money for kids to have equipment to be able to get into the field, because it's quite expensive. And I get up every morning and I have a photograph that he took of Rosa Parks, which means a lot to me.
He was quite young. They think he had a heart attack.
Yes, he was 58. He had a heart attack while coming back 2 hours from this remote location. But talk about somebody who's really going to be missed, and it's just sad all around.
He said he had 2 artificial knees.
And he wanted to go back into the field.
He was director of photography at Washington Post, and he returned to the field because he liked to shoot these pictures.
Justin.
My rant this week is for Spain, I guess, the country.
The media and Spain.
Exactly. We're very general this week. But Spain recently passed a law that said that aggregators and companies like Google have to basically pay a fee if they want to show snippets of stories online. And so this week, Google decided that they were going to close Google News in Spain. So what that means essentially is that if you are a news site in Spain, it's going to be a little bit more tricky to see the stories that you produce. And so the law is a little bit murky at this point because it's not clear how much a company like Google would have to pay per story that gets shown, but they would have to pay $750,000. I got caught up there. Basically $750,000. There we go. As a fine, basically. Wow. So Google just decided to take their ball and go home. We've been seeing this across Europe. We've seen it in France, where they've settled with the publishers there. Germany passed a similar law. And now German publishers actually have said that they want to go back to Google because they've seen such drops in their traffic.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. We don't necessarily need to defend Google, and obviously we should all, as journalists, be a little bit concerned about the influence they have. But I don't think that this is probably the right way to go about it.
All right.
Spain.
Adam, what do you got?
I have a rant for Fox News and Bill O'Reilly, trotting out, as they do every year at this time of year, their tired narrative of a terrifying war on Christmas. I really like this visual, by the way, that our editor Ben Filippo put together, because it captures it in all its horrific majesty. No, you know what? He took a preemptive shot, actually, saying that every year there are people who seek to belittle the notion of a war on Christmas, and he's here to tell you that those people are wrong. Now, Fox is going to do this. I'm not, they're not going to hear my rant and decide to not cover this, but I would make a plea to maybe network affiliates here in Boston, in New England, and around the country to just back off this, because it's kind of ridiculous.
I think he's right.
Oh, no.
I do.
Monday on Greater Boston, the war on Christmas. All right, good.
Anyway, going back to what you started, I actually have a flip on this, on the torture report. I have a rave for Margaret Sullivan, who's the public editor at the New York Times, who took her own newspaper to task for being kind of complicit in this, because they were one of the places, everybody always leaks to the New York Times. Yeah. That's the paper of record. You're going to leak there, you're going to leak anywhere. And they, once again, much the way they did with the weapons of mass destruction, took it kind of on its face value and didn't, vet that thoroughly enough and ran with the stuff that the CIA had leaked them. So she called her own newspaper to task. She's been really strong, one of the best, I think, public editors they've had there.
We could do a rave for her every week, but every so often we should remind people of how good she is.
Yeah, well, we just did. All right, and that is our show. Tell us what you think. What do you make of selling T-shirts on a story you're covering? And how close is too close when it comes to journalists and those they cover? Weigh in on our website, beatthepress.org.